Okay. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, all of you. And today we are going to talk about compound and complex sentences. You can see on your screens. And the last webinar I did was simple sentences. I don't see any of the old people registering. Is that okay? Should I start? Okay. So what we did last time was for the renewal of people who have just joined, we did simple sentences. Can anybody say what is a simple sentence? What's a simple sentence?
Subject and predicate.
Okay.
Somebody say so.
Somebody sent that writing? Okay.
मैं इधर कर दूंगा आप यहाँ से देख लीजिएगा चेक।
Somebody's given answers.
जी.
All right, good. So it's a subject, a predicate. Your simple sentence has a subject and a predicate, and it is called a simple sentence. Now, this is a throwback to a simple sentence. This is just a revision to what we did last time for simple sentences. Simple sentences have one subject and one verb. One subject, one verb. And it is an independent clause. It is an independent clause. And it is a complete thought. When your ideas or what you want to say is complete and you put in a full stop there, that becomes a simple sentence. So this is what a simple sentence is about, and today we are going to talk about compound sentences and complex sentences. There's one thing I'd appreciate if you people could participate and unmute your mics if you want to answer. What I want to ask is, why do we need to have sentence structures? Why can't we put 2-3 words together and just finish our writing? Why do we need structures? And why do we need to learn structures? What is the importance of knowing a sentence structure? Yes, Harmeen? Anybody? इसने unmute करना है ना अपना mic. Okay.
चैट बॉक्स भी खुला हुआ है, मैं इसको भी ओपन कर दे रहा हूँ, इधर भी देखते रहिएगा.
What is the importance of having a structure to your words?
For understanding. Someone says for understanding.
Very good, for understanding. Because it provides us a framework for clear written expression. That's good. That's good. Let's see why do we need to know structures? This is the significance of sentence structures. It is just not knowing sentences. You just don't have to know sentences, words, or their structures or their types. That's not enough. The core is utilizing them to create a smooth piece of writing that leaves a lasting impression on audience. It makes the writing more engaging for the reader. This is the importance of a structure, of knowing a structure, that you need to know how to put your words impressively and in a certain system and in a certain structure, so that your reader is impressed by your writing, and he can read further on. We read a lot of storybooks, we read the newspaper. Until and unless those writings are made interesting and they don't interest us, we don't read. Or if it is all wrong English, then we don't read. Our novels and our storybooks and our reading material has to be in some sentence structure. So, and of course, what do you call it? Punctuation, so that we understand better, we are more engaged and engrossed in reading it, and we are happy about it. So that is why we need to know our sentence structures. Next, we are going to talk about let's look at this simple sentence. The moon was bright. The moon was bright. We could see our way. We could see our way. Now, see, these are two simple sentences, and they're not making a lot of good sense, and they don't sound interesting. So, Harim, do you want to say something? So it's not very interesting. What we'll do is, let's put them together. The moon was bright. We could see our way. The moon was bright and we could see our way. So what's the joining word over here? What's the joining word? And. Thank you, Humaira. And is the joining word. Now,
conjunction.
Oh, very good. Somebody's come up with the phrase conjunction. That's very right. In fact, that is the technical word we use for joining words. Monali, thank you so much. Let's look at another sentence. Hydrogen has weight. You can't weigh it on ordinary scale. Hydrogen has weight. You can't weigh it on ordinary scale. Let's put it together. Let's put both these simple sentences together. Yes? Hydrogen has weight, but you can't weigh it on ordinary scales. But you can't weigh it. So once again, but is your conjunction. And I'm sure by now you must be understanding what a conjunction is. One thing I want to sort of share with you teachers and students, participants who are attending, that it is very important to teach grammar, of course, but it's just as important not to teach grammar out of context. You just can't put words here, there. Always remember, when you are teaching grammar, whether it's nouns, verbs, conjunctions, prepositions, whatever, put them in some kind of a context. Once you associate a context with it, or a picture also would do, put a picture in and then explain things. That's what the eye and the brain make a better connection, and the children can remember, our students can then remember this. So we need to teach grammar by putting it into some kind of a context. All right, next. Okay, now we will go to conjunctions. And this comes in a compound sentence. When two simple sentences are put together and joined by a conjunction, it becomes a compound sentence. Will somebody read this? Read it. Yes.
Two or more separate independent clauses put together is a compound sentence.
Very good. Two or more separate independent clauses put together is a compound sentence. So after a simple sentence, we've got a compound sentence. This is the second type of a sentence. Now we are looking at a conjunction. Conjunction is a word which puts two ideas, two simple sentences into one. So and but were conjunctions. Conjunction is the word for it. Let's look at an example. She cooked. This is an independent clause. She cooked. He cleaned. This is an independent clause. Now we want to put it together to make it into a compound sentence. Connect these two independent clauses and make a single sentence. She cooked and he cleaned. She cooked and he cleaned. Two simple sentences joined together by a conjunction makes one sentence. And is the conjunction over there. So and is used to join them to make a compound sentence and is the coordinating conjunction. This is called a coordinating conjunction. As we go along, there are two different categories of conjunctions as well. Coordinating conjunction and subordinate conjunction. Coordinating conjunction and a subordinating conjunction. Now, these are conjunctions and more examples of two simple sentences put into one. I will go shopping. I will watch a movie. Let's see, what conjunction do you think we can use here? I will go shopping. I will watch a movie.
Then.
Then.
Somebody says then.
Then. Okay. Let's see. Anybody else?
This is my color.
Then. The conjunction will be then.
बहुत करीब से बोल रही है.
We want to connect these two independent clauses and make a single sentence. What do you think we'll do? I will go shopping or watch a movie. I will go shopping or watch a movie. So the new conjunction is?
इसमें जवाब
ये कौन है? An-Noor Foundation. Thank you so much. Your answer is very correct. I will go shopping or watch a movie. Thank you. Again, another sample. We need to join them to make a compound sentence, or is the coordinating conjunction. Let's look at other conjunctions that are classified into different categories. And I'm going to give it to you with examples. Then we will carry on from there. Coordinating conjunctions. One way of remembering coordinating conjunctions is just remember the word fanboys. fanboys. And you can introduce this into your class. Please remember that do not rote learn these things. Do not rote learn. You have to recall them. And the best way to recall is if you read a lot, if you write a lot, if you have conversations, you have dialogues, you can come across all this grammar. You don't have to rote learn. Do not rote learn grammar. Let's see what fanboys is all about. F is for. For means there has to be a cause. When there is a cause, we will use the word for. I go to the library for I love to read. I go to the library for I love to read. And when we put in additions into our simple sentences, then we use the word and, the conjunction and. So F for A is and. Let's look at the sentence it has. Earning a college degree requires a lot of dedication and it costs a lot of money. Earning a college degree requires a lot of dedication and it costs a lot of money. And we want to put in another idea with it. So it is and. Something you want to add, like I like apples and banana. There are many, many examples like this. You can make worksheets out of it and distribute it to your students. The more they practice, the more they will put to memory. Nor. Nor is a word which means choice. Choice. The virus cannot live in immunized individuals nor in nature. Nor. The virus has no choice. It cannot live in a person who has had his vaccines, and it cannot live in nature. Nor. You will use this conjunction when you have a choice in your sentence. But. Salma's a highly intelligent girl, but she's rather lazy. Salma's a highly intelligent girl, but she's rather lazy. Next is or. Or is a choice when we give, right? Do you like chocolate or vanilla better? Do you like chocolate or vanilla better? Right? So there is a choice given to you over there. Yet. Yet brings us to a contrast. Yet brings us to a contrast. The weather was cold, yet bright and sunny. The weather was cold, yet bright and sunny. So is consequence. So is consequence. Where we have to wait for the results. I know you must be tired, so I will let you rest. I know you must be tired, so I will let you rest. Very good, very good. I can see your answers, Hari. I know you must be tired, so I will let you rest. These are all the coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions. And the abbreviation is fanboys. Fanboys. Just put that in your mind that how am I going to teach it? Put fanboys up on the board or make charts or whatever. You can take this from the ये किस पे आता है? YouTube. You can take this from the YouTube and then make your charts in your class to put them up so that the students coming and going can see it, and you know it comes to memory. It comes to memory. The next category of conjunctions is subordinating conjunctions. Subordinating. Let's see what this means and when and where do we use them. These are all the subordinating conjunctions. After, although, as if, as long as, though, because, before, even though, until, when, where, and while. Remember, when, where, and while. Okay, let's look at an example sentence on it. He won so many tournaments. He won so many tournaments when he was young. He won so many tournaments when he was young. So when is your subordinating conjunction over here? When is your subordinating conjunction? Wise men speak because they have something to say. Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools speak because they have to say something. Fools speak because they have to say something.
इसके
We are just switching now.
नहीं बस
We haven't.
10 minutes
Okay. Wise men speak because they have something to say, and fools speak because they have to say something. This is by Plato, and it has a lot of meaning to it if you sit and think about it. And maybe if we teach our students at a very younger age the philosophy behind this, we would make better people in this world. You look as if you've seen a ghost. You look as if you've seen a ghost. Right? A ghost is a booth. How scared we look when we see a ghost. And this can also be visualized with your students in class. And maybe if we have, you put up some sentences according to the level of your class and make it visual, stick pictures or draw something. So these subordinating conjunctions just can come to memory and can be recalled later on. So that is the real thing behind keeping visuals in class. Next. We can never obtain peace in the outer world. We make peace within ourselves. We can never obtain peace in the outer world. We make peace within ourselves. Let's join them together. We can never obtain peace in the outer world. Now, what would come in here? Until there is peace within ourselves.
किसी ने unless भी जवाब दिया चाहे तो उसमें.
Okay, unless is also correct. Unless is also correct. We can never obtain peace in the outer world unless there is peace within ourselves. That's also very good. Good thinking. So here we finish compound sentences, the conjunctions, the two categories of conjunctions that are used to make compound sentences, and compound means putting two things together. So that's the compound sentence. I will wait for a while for any questions if you want to ask about this part. You can use your mic also. I would love if somebody was to talk. I hope this is useful to practically use it in your classes. Yes, please. Yes? Yes?
Comment here. Yes, ma'am, it is very useful.
Thank you, Hafsa. And
बड़ा
क्या है?
बड़ा कर दो.
Hafsa. Sorry. Thank you, Hafsa.
छोटा ही सही था ना.
Okay. Let's go on. There are no more questions.
नहीं.
Let's take a look at another example. We have to wash clothes. The maid will not come. We have to wash clothes. The maid will not come. We feel sad when the maid doesn't come. How will we put it together?
Until if. दो लोगों ने जवाब दिया एक ने until एक ने if.
Thank you very much for the answers.
Because as.
Okay, very good. All your options seem to be correct and fit into it.
As, because, if ये जवाब आता है.
If, I've got if, because also comes in there. We have to wash clothes because the maid will not come. Very good. I'm glad you people are answering and understanding. By your responses, I know that you are understanding things. Thank you so much. All
You
right.
also can use since.
Since?
You also can use since. Since maid is not coming, we have to wash our clothes.
Then since, okay, that will be at the beginning of the sentence.
Yeah.
We have to wash clothes since the maid will not come.
Yes.
That can also be an option. Thank you. Should we move on or should I wait a little while more? I hope you have absorbed everything. Yes? Harim, either you open your mic so I can hear you.
हरमीन नहीं लिखा है.
One is independent and very good. One is independent and one is dependent. Very good, Harim. Good. Harim is our youngest participant today. And she has joined us from Karachi, and she's a very intelligent girl. Thank you, Harim. Our next type of sentence is what's it?
Complex sentence.
Very good. It's a complex sentence. What do you understand by the word complex? What do you think is complex and complicated, and all these words are sort of, you can interchange them. What would complex mean? The easiest thing that's coming to my mind is B complex, which we are supposed to have during this COVID time. B complex, do you understand what would that mean? Complex, let's see what's complex. कुछ लिख रही है हरी? हाथ उठाया है? Yes, yes.
Miss, a sentence connecting a subordinate clause or clauses.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hareen. Hafsa, very good. It is the mingling of many things. Mingling of many things. See, when we put a word in some kind of a context, you are able to find out the meaning. So please make this a point and practice this in your classes, and especially for grammar. From now on, we don't tell students to rote learn anything, but put it in some context that they can use it. We can mingle with a lot of things and get to the, that is when you make your student thinkers. They are thinkers. Right, that explanation, Khan Saab, is also correct. Independent clause is a free clause, and dependent clause is always dependent on. Very good. You are very close to complex sentences. Let me put it on the screen for you. Very good. Thank you. A complex sentence is made up of an independent clause joined by one or more dependent clauses. Now, I will explain to you independent clause and dependent clause. But before I put down the definition, it is the same thing. What is the meaning of independent and what is the meaning of dependent? And that exactly is the meaning of these clauses. You are independent or you are dependent on your parents. Like Harmeen is dependent on her parents. And we all are independent because we are so old and on our own. So we are independent. Let's look at the explanation for this. An independent clause can stand alone as a sentence, but a dependent clause needs help. It is dependent not with a complete thought. Not with the complete thought. Because see, if it is dependent, it is not complete. And your independent clauses have to have complete thoughts. That's important. Let's look up let's put up an example and see if it makes anything clearer. But I'm glad you all understand what it means. It should be easier with some examples. When the cake is brown, remove it from the oven. When the cake is brown, remove it from the oven. When the cake is brown is dependent. Okay, now the cake is brown, what do we do with it? So that one clause is depending on something. When the cake is brown, what are we supposed to do? Remove it
from the oven.
Very good, very good. Remove it from the oven. You have a lovely voice.
Thank you.
Okay, now this is what it is all about. This is a complex sentence. It is made up of an independent clause and it is joined by one or more dependent clauses. And that makes it complex. It's the mingling or the getting together of a lot of small sentences. And the definition of independent and dependent is exactly what it literally is. Independent is when you can stand alone. Dependent is when you're dependent on other people. So when the cake is brown, we don't know what to do. We are depending on the next part of the sentence. Remove it from the oven.
Somebody says we will take it out from oven.
We will take it out from the oven is also correct. It's entirely right. A lot of things will be correct. This is not one saying or one definition. Please explore, see, think, and let your students also think. Now I am going to slowly go through the errors that students make. The errors that students make with these different types of sentences, and then we can discuss what can we do about these errors, and sort of kind of be mentally prepared that these will happen. When I am preparing my lesson plan, I should know that this is going to happen. How do I go about it? Yes? Okay. All right. Is this clear so far? Do we have time to wait?
I don't know.
How will we know?
मेरे पास टाइम नहीं चल रहा.
I'm just checking out on the time that we have left.
यहाँ भी नहीं चल रहा है. देखते हैं. Let's see. Continue करें.
Okay, let's see. Next is the errors. Let's look at errors, and we'll go slowly with the errors so that when preparing a lesson, you're aware of the errors. Number one, including a coordinating conjunction without a comma in a compound sentence is an error. A lot of us don't know punctuation, and wherever we like, we put in commas, and thank God we are very aware of question marks and full stops. But commas, semicolons, hyphens, and with this difference of British English and the computer to do your corrections, it's become quite a thing. Anyways, so if you include a coordinating conjunction and do not put a comma after it in a compound sentence, that is an error. I'll give you an example. Teacher had taught, so he announced the test. Teacher had taught, so he announced the test. This is correct. You have to put in the comma.
जहाँ एक idea complete हो रहा है.
Teacher has taught, एक idea hai, it is completed here. Then the next one becomes, so he announced the test. And I'm sure you can figure out which one is dependent and which one is independent. There's somebody who wants to say something. I will wait, please, whoever it is, just say what you want to say. I can hear little kind of whispers or sounds on somebody's mic.
Mic खुला हुआ है. किसी लोगों का mic off कर दो.
Okay. So if we do not include a coordinating conjunction without a comma in a compound sentence, that is an error. And how can we teach this to a student? Please don't make him rote learn this. How you can teach is when we are reading something to the student. Supposing you're reading out of the reader, and wherever you come across these sentences, wherever you come across conjunctions, wherever you want to emphasize the commas or the punctuations, change your tone. Put in some intonation that the student understands. Like what we were taught was, okay, when there is a comma, say 1, 2 under your breath. Wherever there's a full stop, say 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the trick to remember, which gives intonation and which gives more meaning to your voice and is understood better. The teacher had taught 1, 2. So he announced the test. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if the paragraph is further on, please read like this. And put in some intonation and life into your voice. Your students will enjoy it, you will enjoy it, and everybody can have fun with reading. Okay, next. Inserting a semicolon. Now, semicolon is very important, and I can just slightly touch on colon and tell you where to put it. Right now, we will study semicolon. Inserting a semicolon without complete clauses. Example, the sky is clear. Now we've got a semicolon after the sky. Does that make any sense? Does that seem correct to you? No. Because it doesn't make any sense. That punctuation doesn't make sense. Yes, it doesn't make sense. Let's see what is the correct way. The sky is clear. The stars are twinkling. The sky is clear. The stars are twinkling. See, you've got one idea which finishes there. And because we are using a complete clause, we have done with the complete clause, the sky is clear. Then you just put your semicolon over there. Does that make any sense to you guys?
Yes.
Good, thank you. Another big error, and which we do, is lacking a comma after an introductory clause. Just as you introduce your paragraph, the first sentence you put in there, you have to have a comma after the introductory clause. That is very important. They spoke to him in Urdu, but he responded in English. Where do you think we need to put in the comma?
After Urdu.
Sorry?
After Urdu.
After Urdu?
One second.
Okay, they spoke to him in Urdu, comma, but he responded in English. Did you guess it? You recalled it? How did you figure it out? Any suggestions? How would one figure out where to put the comma?
You can read the sentence.
Yes.
By reading the sentence, you come to know exactly how much it's making sense. Then you can put the comma according to that sense to find that this is making complete sense or not.
Very good. That's correct. But for people like us who are teachers, we have read so much that we automatically know where the comma will come, where the hyphen will come, where the semicolon will come. But let's see how would
Right.
we do it with our students. They spoke to him in Urdu. That's one idea which has been completed. And then, but he responded in English. When we read the sentence, then automatically comes a comma and pause. That's true. But Hafsa, what I want to say is that's for you and me, because maybe we've read so much, we can say that. How will you transfer this knowledge that you have to your student? You need to find a way to give it to your student. How would you do that? Like Anila also said that we read and we understand and we can, that all comes with experience. How would you transfer all this knowledge to your student?
You know, with the students also, we can try the same thing. They need to be have that reading practice with them. You can ask them that, like when you are doing reading with them, you are giving them without these commas or full stops. You ask them that where does the sentence, you think the sentence completes, where does it complete, and how does it go on? Then they can do this punctuation.
Thank
Like
you
I have
so
the
much.
smaller kids, I always try this with them. I make them read the sentence. I tell them that definitely when they are going for the punctuation, they need to read it maybe once they are not able. The second time when they read, they'll be able to figure it out. So they do it. I'm talking about, they are about 5 or 6 years old. And we do it through every time with them. And it's not only in English. We try it with the other, in maths also we do like when we are doing those sums, story sums.
Yeah.
There we ask them, where do you think that the sentence is complete? Okay, you can put a full stop here. Or maybe when we are separating those items over there, then they use commas, and also we can apply the same thing with the students also.
Yeah.
I think so, maybe.
Yes. Thank you so much. Any other suggestions? This is a good platform to learn from each other and share our experiences. And, you know, a lot of things are tried and tested by teachers over the years. And maybe we could share them and make work lighter for younger teachers who are coming. So this is good. And she says she does it with 5-year-old and 6-year-old students. So good. Give them to read and they'll understand.
कोई जवाब नहीं है।
इसने क्या बोला हफ्सा ने?
कोई आपने पढ़ा? When we read sentence.
They automatically. Okay. Thank you so much, Hafsa. Hafsa's suggestion is also good and correct. But please work with that automatically. It won't transfer automatically. We'll have to do something about it. Okay, now there are some points which we have to note. Let's look at them. The youth, maybe along this way, what is it?
Homera.
Homera, along this way, we will get an answer to what you are looking for. The usage. Okay, thank you. The usage of subordinating conjunctions and the dependent clause is to establish a time, a place, a reason, a condition, or a comparison of the main clauses. Right? Now, the subordinating conjunction and the dependent clause is to establish a time, a place. Like the sky was very clear and the stars were twinkling. So you've got a subordinating conjunction and a dependent clause with it to establish a time, a place, a reason, a condition, or a comparison of the main clauses. Let's put in an example here and see. They rested when evening came. They rested when evening came. Humans can't see well in the dark. Humans can't see well in the dark, nor can they hear sounds more than a kilometer away. Humans can't see well in the dark, nor can they hear sounds more than about a kilometer away. So humans can't see well in the dark. We need to cut it off over here. We put in a comma. Nor, we use a conjunction. They can hear sounds more than about 1 kilometers away. All the clauses in a compound sentence are equally important. All the clauses in a compound sentence are equally important. The clauses express related thoughts, ideas. They are connected by conjunctions, and they tell us the simple relationship between them. These are the points we need to remember, that all the clauses we have in a compound sentence, independent, both the clauses are, they are both equally important. The clauses express related thoughts. They somehow relate to each other, and they are connected by conjunctions, and they tell us the simple relationship between them. Right? This you can get on the YouTube as well, maybe by Monday, I think. And the thing is that I've taken down your queries and I'll answer them on Monday again. And that's what it's.
क्वेश्चन पूछना है
Yeah.
ये क्वेश्चन
In addition, who's this? Shahina. In addition to a subject and a verb dependent clause containing a subordinate conjunction or a similar word.
explain.
I can write and explain. Let me try. In addition to a subject and a verb, dependent clauses contain a I think, Shahina, just give me a little time. I'll put this in the email again. इसका email.
Okay, मैं note कर लेना, मैंने note कर लिया.
Okay. Because I need to think about it and then give you an answer. What does this mean? Figure it out.
Question interrogative, question mark. It is question mark.
Now, what do you
Now we have to use.
Okay. Now it is your turn to ask questions. I've got 2 queries with me, which I will. Shahina, I'm taking down all your questions because some of them are not related to what I have taught, like adverbs and clauses and their functions. I can just write down answers and email these answers to you.
Ma'am, can I give the answer about this question? In addition to subject and a verb dependent clauses contain a subordinating conjunction or similar words, it means that the next one, clauses always have subject and verb. Without subject and verbs cannot complete the clause, okay?
Yes.
And when we connect two clauses, some of the time we have to use the conjunction, as you have explained very well. Okay. And she is also asking about it. Subordinating clause, it means the dependent clause that completes the sentences. Okay. And most of the time it is start with, takes help from the conjunction and from the other objects and maybe subject.
Very good. Thank you very much for making it so clear. Participants, I've got this explanation of a comma and a semicolon, and I'm going to leave it with you. I want you to read it and see if it answers any further queries. Though I'll be sending out an email to all the questions that I have to answer, but this is something for you to read. If you want, I could read it for you, or if you want one of you read it, you can also read it. All right, students, thank you very much for your time, and I hope this was useful for you.